My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. My phone buzzed while I was making tea. A WhatsApp message from my daughter flashed on the screen. I didn't recognize the tone. Something in it felt cold. Mom, can you come over today? I need help. I assumed it was about the usual chores. Cooking, cleaning, organizing her endless piles of things. But when I arrived, the house felt different. The door was unlocked. My daughter didn't answer my knock immediately. I stepped inside, and the silence hit me first. No greetings, no laughter, just the faint sound of her typing on her laptop. Mom, I'm serious. Sit. Her eyes were sharp, almost calculating. I felt a pang of unease. I thought you wanted help with the garden. I asked cautiously. Forget the garden. I need your full attention today. You're going to help me, but not for free. I froze. What did she mean, not for free? She looked at me and smiled, but it wasn't a smile for comfort. It was the smile of someone setting a trap. I need you to take over everything in my business. Full time. No salary. And you'll answer only to me. I blinked. I didn't understand. But this is your business. Your decisions. I'm your mother. Why would I work for free? She leaned forward, whispering so low I almost didn't catch it. Because if you don't, you'll have no home here. No room. No say. Nothing. I sat down slowly. My hands were trembling. I had raised her. Sacrificed. Stayed silent for all the mistakes she made in her youth. And now this. My own daughter threatening me like some hired worker? I could feel my chest tighten. This was humiliation. I was being stripped of my dignity in my own home. I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm out. But I stayed. She continued, scrolling through her phone. You'll manage everything. You'll be available morning till night. No exceptions. I'm the boss now. I whispered softly, almost to myself. After everything I sacrificed, is this what I get? She didn't hear me or didn't care. I wanted to argue, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I watched her type another message on her group chat. And that's when the shock hit me. Everyone in the family group chat had already acknowledged my role in her new business. My son, my husband, even my sister-in-law. And I had no idea. I felt my heart drop. Digital shock. Public humiliation. My own family had already sided against me before I even knew what was happening. I wanted to ask questions, but the words didn't form. All I could do was stare at the screen. Then she said, Mom, I didn't ask for your opinion. Just follow instructions. Or leave. I blinked, trying to process. Leave? Where would I go? I had given my life to this family. And now, I was being erased. I swallowed hard. The room felt smaller. The walls seemed closer. I had no allies here. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. I wanted to fight, but I had no clue how. The tension grew thicker with every second. My mind raced. Was this her way of finally controlling me? Was this punishment for years of silence? And then, I noticed something on her laptop screen. A document. My name on it. Signed. Dated. Official. Legal. Mom, she said calmly, noticing my gaze. I've already done everything. You're either with me or you're gone. Your choice. I felt my knees weaken. This wasn't just emotional abuse. It was a power grab. A complete takeover. My own daughter had weaponized the law, the digital world, and the family support against me. I wanted to run. I wanted to shout. I wanted someone, anyone, to tell me this wasn't happening. But the reality hit me. Everyone was complicit. I swallowed again, forcing my voice to remain steady. You can't do this. Her smile widened. Oh, I already did. My phone buzzed again. Another WhatsApp alert. This time from my husband. I opened it. We discussed it. It's better this way. She's right. I froze. Betrayal. In black and white on my phone. I had lost. And I didn't even realize the game had started. I sank into a chair, silent. My mind raced. How did it come to this? When did I stop being the mother and guardian? When did my own daughter decide I had no value unless I obeyed? I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. I couldn't just accept this, but I didn't yet know how to fight back. And that's when I heard the faintest click behind me. the sound of a smart doorbell alert from my front gate. Someone was coming. I didn't recognize the name on my phone, but I knew one thing: this wasn't over. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The doorbell clicked again. My hand shook as I held the doorknob. Who could it be at this hour? I hadn't invited anyone. Not that it mattered. I had no control here anymore. I peeked through the peephole. A man in a suit stood there. I didn't recognize him. His face was calm, professional. His eyes sharp. Delivery. I whispered to myself. I unlocked the door. He didn't hand me a package. He held an envelope. Thick. Official. My name written in perfect script. Mrs. May, he asked. Yes, I whispered. My heart pounded. This requires your signature. It's from your daughter's lawyer. She asked me to deliver it personally. I wanted to snatch it and slam the door, but my trembling fingers betrayed me. I tore it open. Inside was a notice. Legal language I barely understood. Ownership documents. Business registration. Signed under my name. My daughter had made me the manager of her company without my consent. I sank into a chair. My chest felt heavy. My life, my dignity, my home, all suddenly strings in someone else's hand. She walked in, smiling. See, it's all official. You'll manage everything. Full time. Without pay. I stared at her. You forged my signature? My voice shook. She shrugged. Calm. Innocent. I just filled in the paperwork you never got around to. Technically, you agreed when you said you'd help. I wanted to scream. I wanted my husband to defend me, but he was nowhere in sight. My son? Busy. My family? Already aligned with her. Humiliation settled like a heavy blanket. I was trapped. My own daughter had weaponized my kindness and my silence. I tried to think. Could I fight this? Should I fight this? And then the lawyer's assistant handed me another envelope. A letter from the bank. My personal account frozen. My access removed. No warning. Nothing. I stared at it. Read it twice. Read it again. Gone. Everything I'd worked for gone. I felt tears prick my eyes. Quiet sadness, anger, shock. My own family had stripped me of security, authority, and respect. And all because I dared to stay silent, thinking I could maintain peace. My daughter leaned in. Mom, I'm giving you a chance. Follow instructions, or you'll lose everything else. I looked at her. My child, my blood, my creation, and yet she had become someone I barely recognized. A dictator in heels. My own daughter had become my executioner. I swallowed. I had to stay calm. I had to think. I had to fight, somehow. The man in the suit cleared his throat. I need your signature here. I paused. My hand hovered over the papers. One signature could cement my humiliation forever. One refusal could set off a war I wasn't ready for. I looked at my daughter. She smiled, patient, waiting, predicting my hesitation. Mom, what's it going to be? I froze. I wanted to scream, cry, and run all at once. But I couldn't. I had no allies. I had no backup. And then I remembered something. Something small. A digital note she had carelessly left on her laptop yesterday. A password, an email, a backup folder. Something that could reveal the truth. My heart pounded. Could I? Before I could act, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the family group chat. My son's text. Mom, just follow her instructions. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. My life is crumbling. My home is a cage. My dignity shredded. I looked at my daughter, and for the first time I saw fear. Not in her eyes, but in the cracks of her confidence. I took a deep breath, slowly, carefully, and whispered to myself, this isn't over, not yet. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. Her laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. I could see the glow of the screen reflecting in her eyes as she scrolled. She hadn't locked it. Not fully. A small folder caught my attention, titled simply, Mom Must Know. I froze. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Could this be a lifeline? Or another trap? I glanced at her. She was watching me, pretending to sip her coffee, the calm mask I had seen countless times. I swallowed hard. My mind raced. If I open it, she'll know. If I don't, I lose everything. I slid my hand toward the mouse, heart hammering, sweat prickling my temples, and clicked. Inside was a folder full of documents, screenshots, and voice notes. My voice, my handwriting, my emails, all previously unseen by anyone. She had compiled everything I had ever done for her business. She had tracked every little thing, every mistake, every success, every quiet contribution. And then I saw it, an email draft she never sent, addressed to the family group. It detailed her plan, every manipulation, every financial move, every word calculated to isolate me. I felt my stomach drop. Shock, rage, betrayal. My own daughter had documented the entire plan against me. Yet in her confidence, she hadn't deleted this backup. I leaned back. I whispered to myself, barely audible, she thinks she's untouchable, but she left a trail. I opened a voice note next. My daughter's voice, candid, unfiltered, admitting her strategy. Mom will never question me if I use the family's loyalty and the law against her. She's too quiet, too polite. I can control everything. I replayed it, every word a dagger. But hidden in her confidence, she had mentioned a loophole, a contract she didn't finalize, a signature she assumed I'd never contest. The realization hit me. A chance, a tiny, fragile thread of leverage. I could fight. I could reclaim a part of my life. But I had to be careful. One wrong move, one snap judgment, and she would crush me further. I took a deep breath and stepped back from the laptop. My daughter's eyes followed me. Mom, are you going to sit there all day? Or start working? I bit my lip. Patience. Control. I had to hide what I knew. I'll start. Show me what you need. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. She smiled, satisfied, the predator confident in her prey. But inside, my mind was racing. I had options now. Questions forming. Questions she wouldn't see coming. I remembered my husband's message. Everything is fine. That was a lie. They were already plotting behind my back. He wasn't my ally. And my son had aligned with her. Everyone except me. And yet this folder, this small leak in her plan, this could change everything. I needed information. Proof. Evidence that I wasn't powerless. Evidence that could turn the tables. I spent hours copying files, screenshots, voice notes to a secure USB I had hidden for emergencies. Every detail of her manipulation, every confession she made about me, my work, my sacrifices, all stored. Already. But she was still calm watching me, smiling, pretending nothing had changed. Mom, what are you doing? She asked finally, tilting her head. I paused, just organizing things. I smiled, small, unconvincing, but enough to hide the storm inside me. The tension hung like a cloud. I could feel the silent battle forming between us. And then the next text arrived, from my sister-in-law. Nana May. She's already told everyone you agreed to everything. Don't cause a scene. I felt the walls closing in. Family against me. Daughter against me. Husband complicit. And yet, I had the one thing she hadn't expected. Evidence she thought was gone forever. I looked at her carefully. You should be careful, I said softly. One misstep and everything changes. Her smile faltered, just slightly, just enough for me to notice. Mom, don't be ridiculous, she replied, masking the tension. But I saw it. Just a flicker. A crack in her armor. I had hope. Tiny. Fragile. But hope. And then the phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it wasn't from family. It was anonymous. We know what she's planning. Be careful. Don't trust anyone. I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. Shock. Fear. Confusion. Who could it be? How did they know? And why warn me? I had questions racing faster than I could think. And one terrifying realization, the moment I acted, I would have to act smart. Or risk everything. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The invitation came in a text. Casual. Friendly. Almost cheerful. My daughter had organized a family dinner. I was included. On the surface, I knew better. I arrived, dressed carefully, trying to look calm. Inside, my heart thumped. Every instinct screamed, this is a trap. The house smelled of spices and roasted meat. Laughter echoed through the halls. Family chatter. My husband's voice somewhere, laughing. My son talking. They didn't see me. Not really. I stepped into the living room. Everyone turned. Smiles polite. But I noticed the subtle shift in posture. My place wasn't here. I was being watched, judged, tested. Mom. Over here, my daughter called, waving. But the warmth in her voice, it didn't reach her eyes. I took a deep breath and sat. My hands folded in my lap. Calm on the outside, torn apart inside. Conversation began. Polite questions. Hollow laughs. I noticed the glances. Whispered words. Something was about to happen. And then it did. A photo appeared on my phone, sent by my husband. It showed me sitting at the table, smiling, unaware. But in the background, my daughter's phone screen reflected in the glass. Messages open. Instructions. My role as unpaid worker spelled out for everyone to see. I froze. My stomach turned. Anger. Humiliation. Shock. The family I trusted had become an audience. My daughter leaned back, noticing my stare. "Oh, did you see something?" she asked innocently. I looked at her, voice low, trembling. Why would you show this to everyone?" She smiled, cruel now. "Everyone needs to know their place, Mom. Don't you agree?" Laughter erupted around the room. Not joyful. Mocking. My own family laughing at me. My role. My dignity. Reduced to a spectacle. I swallowed my tears. Quiet sadness. I wanted to leave. Run. But leaving would confirm weakness. And I refused to give her that satisfaction. Then a whisper. From my sister-in-law, leaning close. She's been planning this for months. You should have seen the emails. I felt my heart hammer. Betrayal. Anger. My own blood. Whispering my humiliation to someone else. I was truly alone. But inside, a spark of strategy ignited. The folder on her laptop. The USB I had hidden. Evidence. Leverage. I had a choice. Remain powerless or fight. I looked around the room. Everyone thinking they had the upper hand. Everyone blind to what I knew. I smiled slightly. Quietly. They didn't see it. But I felt it. Power. Control. Possibility. The dinner progressed. Instructions from my daughter. Tasks for me. Demands disguised as help. Each one a reminder. I was nothing but an unpaid servant in my own home. And then the phone buzzed again. Another message. Anonymous. Same warning tone. They're watching. Don't act rashly. Use the folder carefully. I glanced at my daughter. Her eyes flickered. Did she sense the shift? Did she know I was holding something dangerous? "Mom, are you even listening?" she snapped, breaking my thoughts. I looked up, calm. Of course, I'm listening. But inside I plotted. Patience. Timing. Precision. By the end of the night, I had mapped every ally, every enemy, every weakness. The family thought they had humiliated me. I had learned more in this one dinner than I had in weeks of silent planning. And then, just as I was about to leave, my daughter's phone lit up. A video call. My son's face appeared, panicked. "Mom, you need to see this," he whispered. I leaned closer, my heart racing, my stomach twisting. The screen showed a live feed of our family business, money being transferred, documents being signed, all without my consent. And there, in the reflection of the glass door, my daughter, her expression shocked. I froze. Shock, anger, confusion, humiliation, and the realization that now the game had changed. My name is Nana Mae, and this happened to me. I sat at the kitchen table, the USB clutched tightly in my hand. The house was quiet. Too quiet. My daughter had gone to her room, probably plotting her next move, unaware that I now held the key to everything she had been hiding. I replayed the voice notes in my mind. Every admission, every plan, every careless mention of loopholes in contracts and in signed documents. She had underestimated me, her own mother. I could feel a tremor of power stirring inside me. I was no longer just a victim. I had the evidence. I had proof. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I needed to be strategic. One wrong move and she could crush me again. But one right move could change the course of everything. I called my lawyer. Her number had been tucked away in my contacts for emergencies, never used. I explained everything carefully, in short, deliberate sentences. My daughter, she's manipulating the family, financials, contracts, everything. I have proof, but I need advice before I act. The lawyer's voice was calm but sharp. Keep everything secure. Do not confront her directly. Let me review the documents. And Nana May, don't let anyone see your plan yet. I hung up. Deep breath. Patience. Control. I had to hide my excitement. They could see through me if I let it show. Hours passed. I observed every small interaction, every family conversation. My daughter still acted confident. My husband still smiled, pretending to be neutral. But inside, I could feel the cracks forming. Then, a small victory. My son, unaware of my knowledge, left his phone unattended. A notification popped up. Mom's work files updated. Everything approved. I glanced at the screen. Opportunity. This was my opening. I copied the data, screenshots, and financial records. Every detail of her manipulation, every hidden action. I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. The family's loyalty, carefully cultivated by my daughter, could now be questioned. With proof, they would have to listen. They couldn't ignore me anymore. I called my daughter into the kitchen. Calm, polite, dignified. We need to talk. Her eyes narrowed. About what? I smiled slightly, holding the USB behind my back. About everything. Her confident mask faltered, just for a moment. But she hid it well. Everything. Yes, I think it's time we all understand what's really happening in this family. I watched her shift. I had her attention. Not yet fear, not yet panic, but attention. I continued carefully, my voice low, steady. I know about the contracts, the unsigned documents, the transfers without my consent, the plans you made to isolate me. All of it. Her eyes widened. I could see the recognition of danger the moment she realized I knew. Mom, you don't understand, she began, voice trembling slightly. But I cut her off. I understand perfectly. And now we need to decide how this family moves forward. The silence was heavy. My husband cleared his throat. Awkward, shifting uncomfortably. My son looked confused, unsure which side to take. The room felt like it was suspended in time. Then the first threat came from my daughter. If you share this, everything you care about could disappear. Your reputation, your standing, your place here. I swallowed, calm. I have evidence. You left it for me. I didn't create it, and I won't use it to hurt anyone unless I have to. Her face paled slightly. Just enough to know the balance of power was shifting. I realized something critical. I didn't have to destroy her. I didn't have to fight her openly. I just had to make her see that I was no longer powerless. And for the first time, I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not revenge, control, respect, authority regained. But just as I allowed myself a brief sense of hope, my phone buzzed. Another message. Anonymous. They know you're acting. Be careful. They are watching closer than you think. I stared at the screen. Fear. Shock. Confusion. How could they know? Who else was involved? And why warn me? The stakes had risen. The family dinner, the documents, the evidence, it was all part of a larger game I didn't yet fully understand. I took a deep breath. Patience. Strategy. The next move had to be precise. And then I saw her phone lying on the counter. Notifications piling up. Messages from friends, family, and even her lawyer. She was already panicking. She just didn't know I knew. I smiled faintly. The leverage was mine. The family could no longer ignore me. And soon everything would change. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The morning sun spilled through the curtains, but I hardly noticed. My mind was racing, calculating, planning. The USB lay on the table in front of me, a small plastic rectangle holding the power to change everything. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like a pawn. I felt dangerous. I watched my daughter move through the house with her usual air of control. She smiled at me, falsely warm, but I saw the flicker of fear when she caught my gaze. I almost laughed at the irony. The same woman who had humiliated me now looked over her shoulder. For the first time, she realized she wasn't untouchable. I needed to test the waters. carefully, strategically, no rash moves. If I went too far too fast, I could lose everything. I started small. A casual question. Did you handle the invoices from last week? I asked, voice light, polite, almost naive. She blinked, then smiled tightly. Of course, Mom. Everything is fine. I leaned back. Calm. Patient. Really? Because I noticed a few discrepancies on my end. Strange transfers. Unapproved approvals. Just wondering how that happened. Her hands trembled slightly. She hid it well, but I saw it. I saw the first crack in her armor. I spent the day observing. Every glance, every movement, every whispered conversation. I listened, silently. The family had begun to pick up on the tension. My husband avoided eye contact. My son looked confused, unsure where to stand. And my daughter? She was sweating, pacing, trying to cover her tracks. By evening, I had gathered enough intel to feel confident, enough to make a calculated move. I called my lawyer again. Short, precise words. I want to set up a meeting. Now, I need to understand the next legal steps. This family, they think they can play me. Her response was measured. Patience, Nana May. You've taken the first steps. Now watch. Let them make the mistakes. I hung up and turned my attention to the kitchen. My daughter had left her phone unattended again. Messages piled up, discussions with friends, lawyers, even distant relatives. Panic was spreading. I smiled. Patience, timing, leverage. I picked up the phone carefully, scrolling through. Evidence of her manipulation. Conversations where she tried to isolate me. Instructions to other family members to ignore or undermine me. Every word, every plan laid bare. The plan formed in my mind. I wouldn't confront her directly yet. Not fully. I would plant seeds. Test loyalties. Watch the cracks deepen. Mom, can I help with dinner? My son asked, tentatively. I looked at him, gentle but firm. Yes, chop the vegetables. And keep an eye out for anything unusual. You never know who's listening or watching. He nodded, uncertain. But I saw the glimmer of awareness in his eyes. He was starting to notice. Slowly, imperceptibly, I was shifting the family's understanding. Dinner came, and the air was thick. My daughter tried to dominate conversation, but her words lacked power. Every time she attempted control, I countered calmly, strategically. Small questions, polite observations, quiet reminders that I was no longer powerless. And then the first public crack appeared. A distant cousin, visiting for the evening, commented casually. Did anyone else notice the strange transfers? I heard about them from a friend. Silence. My daughter's face paled. Everyone turned to me. I smiled slightly, calm, collected. Yes, I noticed. And I have proof. The room froze. My daughter's lips parted, but no words came. My husband shifted uncomfortably. My son looked bewildered. And somewhere, deep inside me, a small thrill of vindication stirred. But the night wasn't over. Just as we sat down to eat, my phone buzzed. Another anonymous message. They're talking. Move carefully. Your daughter isn't the only one watching you. I stared at it, heart pounding. Fear, shock, confusion, and the dawning realization. There was a bigger game at play than I had known. I glanced at my daughter. She had sensed it too. Her confident mask faltered just for a fraction of a second. That was all I needed. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I woke up with a knot in my stomach. The anonymous messages from the previous night replayed in my mind, like a warning I couldn't ignore. They're talking. Move carefully. Your daughter isn't the only one watching you. I didn't know who it was. Could it be my son? My husband? Or someone entirely outside the family? Whoever it was, they were watching, waiting, judging, and that meant my daughter was vulnerable in ways I hadn't yet imagined. I had the leverage. I had the proof. And today, I would see just how far my daughter would go to maintain control. I waited until the family gathered for breakfast. She smiled, falsely warm, but I ignored it. Calm, steady, patient. I opened my phone, pretending to scroll casually. Mom, are you okay? My son asked, hesitating. His eyes flicked to mine, searching, questioning. Yes, I replied softly. I'm more than okay. But I need to know who's really keeping track of things in this house. My daughter stiffened, a slight hitch in her breath. Her mask of control slipped for the first time in weeks. I noticed. I always noticed. Why do you care? She asked, voice tight. I looked at her calmly. Because someone has been manipulating the family finances, controlling the narrative, making everyone doubt me. And I have the proof. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, I saw a panic shimmer beneath the surface. She recovered quickly, trying to laugh it off. Proof? Mom, you're imagining things. I held up the USB. Not imagining. Right here. Everything you've tried to hide. Every plan. Every manipulation. Every instruction to isolate me. It's all here. The silence was deafening. My husband shifted, uncomfortable. My son stared, shocked. And my daughter, her hands trembled, just barely noticeable. But enough. Enough to know the balance of power had shifted. I took a deep breath, calm but firm. We need to talk. All of us. Now. She tried to interrupt. Mom, you can't. I held up a hand. Silence. Control. Authority reclaimed. We sat around the table. I watched her, studied her reactions. The mask she wore, the confidence she projected, it was cracking. Every word I spoke, every question I asked, chipped away at her fortress of control. Why didn't you tell me about the property transfers? I asked softly, almost whispering. Her eyes darted around the room. I thought it was better for everyone. Better for who? I pressed, calm but unwavering. Because it certainly wasn't better for me. The anger was rising, but I kept it controlled. Dignified. My voice soft, deliberate. I was pushed out. Excluded. Humiliated. And for what? So you could control everything behind my back. She looked away, ashamed. I could see the guilt, the fear, the panic. I held my ground. Not loud, not cruel. Just firm, patient, dignified. I'm not angry, I said softly. I'm hurt. I stayed quiet for the peace of this family. And now, I have to protect myself. That was the first time she truly realized I wasn't just sitting quietly anymore. I was watching, calculating, ready to act. Then the bombshell. A knock at the door. My lawyer stepped in, calm, composed. Nana May, I think it's time we talk about the next steps. And perhaps introduce some outside pressure. Her face paled. My daughter's confident mask shattered completely. She glanced at the USB in my hand, then at the lawyer, then back at me. Fear, panic, anger, all in one flicker. The lawyer's voice cut through the tension. I've reviewed the documents, the contracts, the transfers. There's a clear case of manipulation. And Nana May, you have options. Powerful options. I felt a thrill. Finally, the scales were tipping. My daughter's carefully cultivated control was crumbling, and everyone in the room knew it. But just as I allowed myself a flicker of satisfaction, my phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. Move carefully. They know more than you think. I stared at it, heart pounding. Shock. Fear. Confusion. Someone else was in this game. Watching. Judging. And maybe protecting my daughter. I glanced at her. She was trembling now, trying to mask it, but failing. I knew one thing for certain. My leverage was working. My power was rising. And soon everything would have to come to light. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The house was quiet, but the air was electric. After yesterday's confrontation, everything had shifted. My daughter moved like a shadow, carefully measuring each word, each glance. The family had started noticing the tension, the subtle power shift. And I finally felt the first flicker of control in months. I sat at the dining table, the USB and my notes spread out before me. Every conversation, every hidden transfer, every whispered instruction from my daughter was documented. Evidence wasn't just power, it was survival. I picked up my phone and typed a message to my lawyer. We need to move today. Timing is critical. I waited. Seconds stretched. Then, the familiar notification popped up. Understood. Meet at 3 p.m. Bring the documents. Be careful. Careful. The word echoed in my mind. Someone was still watching. Someone outside the house. Someone who knew more than I did, or at least I thought they did. Breakfast was tense. My daughter barely spoke. My son avoided eye contact. My husband sat silently, sipping his tea, pretending not to notice the undercurrent of threat. But I noticed. Always. I had learned to read the room, to read people, to catch the cracks before they widened into gaping chasms. I decided to test loyalties again. Softly, politely, but with purpose. Has anyone checked the bank statements for March? I asked casually. Silence. My daughter's hand tightened around her cup. My husband coughed nervously. My son froze, unsure what to say. I did, my daughter finally replied, voice too steady. Everything's fine. I smiled faintly. Really? Because there are some anomalies. Small transfers, unexplained approvals. I just want to understand. For the family's sake. She swallowed hard. Her mask of control slipped for just a fraction of a second. Enough. I let it hang there, a quiet weight pressing down. She was already crumbling, and I wasn't even fully showing my hand yet. By mid-morning, I moved quietly to the study. Alone, I had to prepare for the meeting with my lawyer. Every detail mattered. Every word, every document, every piece of evidence could tip the scales. Then a knock on the door. My daughter, hesitant, nervous. Mom, can we talk? She asked, voice low. I looked up calmly. Yes. About what? She swallowed. About everything. I think you need to understand my side. I didn't mean to. I raised a hand. Not yet. Sit down. I want to hear everything, but carefully. Slowly. I'm in control here now. She sat, fidgeting. I watched. I measured. Every twitch, every hesitation was a clue. She was trying to manipulate, to charm, to regain control, but I was ready for it. You need to know, she began, finally, some things were for your own good. I leaned back. Calm. For my own good? By hiding things? By humiliating me? By trying to erase me? Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't want to lose the family. I thought keeping control would protect everyone. I took a deep breath. Protect who? Yourself? Because the family doesn't seem protected from manipulation, from lies, from betrayal. Her face crumpled. Finally, she cracked. I could see the fear, the shame, the panic. But before I could push further, my phone buzzed. Another message from the mysterious observer. Stop. Not everything is as it seems. Some secrets are bigger than you realize. I froze. My heart raced. Shock. Confusion. Fear. Someone else had stakes in this family's game. Someone who could undo all my planning if I wasn't careful. I glanced at my daughter. Her tears seemed real. But were they? Or were they another manipulation? The afternoon passed in a blur. My lawyer arrived. Papers signed, contracts reviewed, leverage calculated. I felt the tide shifting. My daughter's control weakening. My authority rising. But that message, that warning lingered. A silent threat I couldn't ignore. As night fell, I prepared for the family meeting. Evidence laid out, questions rehearsed, strategies clear. I was ready to force truths to the surface, to confront lies, to reclaim my place. And just as I was about to call everyone together, the phone buzzed again. A new message. They know you're acting. Be ready. Not everyone is on your side. I stared at it, heart pounding. Fear, yes, but also clarity. I wasn't just fighting my daughter. I was fighting shadows, hidden alliances, secrets larger than I had imagined. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The morning light was harsh, cutting through the blinds like a spotlight on my intentions. Today wasn't going to be quiet. Today, everything hidden in the shadows would be forced into the open. I could feel it in my bones. The balance had shifted, and my daughter knew it. I started the day calmly, deliberately. Breakfast was tense, every sip of tea a battle of wills. My daughter avoided my gaze entirely, pretending to read a newspaper. My son glanced nervously at me. My husband remained silent, as if the past days were someone else's nightmare. I didn't speak at first. I let the silence stretch, let them feel it. Then I picked up my phone. A message from my lawyer blinked. Are you ready? Evidence ready? Timing critical. I tapped back simple. Yes. Now. I turned my attention to the table. We need to talk. All of us. About the property, the finances, and the decisions that have been made behind my back. Her eyes widened. Her mask cracked. Finally. I can explain, she started. I cut her off softly. No. First, let's go through the facts. I have documents, emails, transfers, everything. The tension thickened. Each word I spoke felt like a hammer on the fragile walls of control she had built. I revealed one piece of evidence at a time. Small transfers, unapproved contracts, and messages she had sent trying to manipulate family members into doubting me. Each revelation was a blow. You knew, my son asked finally, shock written all over his face. I didn't know at first, but now I do. And everyone here will understand exactly what happened. Her hands trembled, the first real sign of fear. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell. I simply let the evidence speak. Let her actions speak. And then, the first humiliation. I revealed her message to my husband, the one in which she tried to convince him that I was irrelevant. His face changed instantly, shock, disappointment, confusion. She looked at him, panicked, but it was too late. The truth was out. I felt a small surge of vindication. Finally, they were seeing me clearly. No more whispers behind my back. No more manipulation. But the power shift wasn't complete. I had a message waiting from the mysterious observer. Not everyone is who they seem. Watch the quiet ones. I froze. Who were they referring to? My husband? My son? Or someone else entirely? My pulse quickened. Shock, fear, anticipation. This was bigger than I thought. The family meeting stretched through the morning. Tension soared. My daughter tried to redirect blame. My husband looked conflicted. My son wavered, unsure whom to trust. I stayed calm, patient, dignified, allowing every crack, every slip, every confession to reveal itself naturally. And then the ultimate shock. My daughter reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. Mom, you need to see this, she said, voice trembling. I took it, expecting more manipulation, more lies. But what I saw was different. Evidence she had hidden from everyone, contracts, property documents, and a secret bank account I had never known about. I stared at it. Read it again. And again. Shock. Fear. Confusion. You hid all of this. I whispered. I had to, she admitted. I thought it would protect the family. From you, from everyone. My heart raced. The power had shifted. The control was fragile, and the consequences of exposing these secrets were massive. But I couldn't stop now. I had come too far. Then, a loud knock at the door. My lawyer entered, looking grave. Nana May, we need to move. There are external parties aware of the transfers. They're questioning some of the decisions. We have a small window to act. Panic flickered across my daughter's face. Fear shimmered in my husband's eyes. And I felt clarity. The danger was real, but the leverage I held was stronger. I looked at the folder in my hand, the documents on the table, and the family sitting silently around me. I realized with a quiet, steadying breath that the next few hours could change everything. My authority, my place in this family, the truth, everything. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The morning light fell harshly across the living room, illuminating every corner of the house that had hidden so many secrets. I felt the weight of the past weeks pressing on me, but I also felt clarity. Finally, after months of humiliation, exclusion, and manipulation, I was ready to act. The family gathered around the table, tension thick enough to choke on. My daughter, pale and tense, avoided my gaze. My husband sat silently, unsure of where his loyalty truly lay. My son fidgeted nervously, and I sat upright, calm, composed, armed with the truth, documents, and an unshakable resolve. Everyone needs to understand what's been happening, I said firmly, voice steady, and why I have been pushed to the edge. I laid out every piece of evidence, bank transfers, secret accounts, hidden property contracts, manipulative messages, even the digital one my daughter had tried to control. I spoke slowly, deliberately. Each revelation landed like a hammer. You knew, my husband finally asked, shock and hurt in his voice. I didn't know at first, but I do now. And now, everyone else does too, I replied. My daughter's face crumpled. Tears welled in her eyes. Mom, I only did it to protect the family. I thought it was for the best. I shook my head slowly. For the family? Or for you? The truth is, manipulation doesn't protect anyone. And hiding things from those who love you destroys trust, and respect, and dignity. There was silence. Heavy. Raw. The kind of silence where every secret weighs down the room. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. A message from the mysterious observer who had been sending warnings all along. It's time. Reveal the final truth. I looked around. The family waited, breathless, and I knew exactly what to do. I held up the folder my daughter had given me, the one with the hidden documents, and slowly opened it. Inside, buried under contracts and transfers, was the final revelation, a letter. Handwritten. From my late mother. My dearest Nana May, it began. Some truths must wait until the right moment. Trust your instincts. Protect the family. And know that the strength lies within you, even when others fail to see it. Shock. Tears. Relief. The weight of my mother's words pressed down, but in a way that lifted me. I wasn't alone. I had never been alone. And now, the last piece of the puzzle was in my hands. I looked at my daughter. You were never alone in your decisions either, I said softly. But the way you wielded control, it caused harm. And you must understand that. She nodded, finally seeing the consequences of her actions. Then, I turned to my husband. We have been watched. External parties have questioned these decisions. But now we have transparency. And we have control. He swallowed, realizing the gravity of our situation. What do we do now? I smiled faintly with the calm authority of someone who has reclaimed her place. We act carefully, decisively, but most importantly, we rebuild trust. Together. And then, the moment of ultimate revelation. I pulled out the last document, a hidden clause in the digital will that gave me the authority to make decisions for the family estate. The one my daughter had tried to manipulate. Her face went pale. Shock. Real fear. You have full control. I nodded. Not to punish, not to dominate, but to protect, to restore balance, and to ensure that no one can erase me from this family again. The family sat in stunned silence. The tables had turned. Power had shifted. The manipulator had been outmaneuvered. And yet, I felt something else stirring. A quiet, almost imperceptible unease. The mysterious messages, the warnings, they had never fully explained who was watching. Who else might act if we made the wrong move? Someone out there still held a card we hadn't seen yet. I smiled faintly. Calm, controlled, dignified. But my eyes were sharp. Ready. Whatever comes next, I said softly, almost to myself, we face it together. And we face it honestly.